But I don't think that it's artists today's fault that they don't have the same struggle as artists of the past. But I get what you're saying about having a greater appreciation.
Yeah, it's not about me dismissing the artists of today. Like I get that there are hardworking artists out there, and there are artists who, ooh, am I close to my, that really do work hard. Like I watch Megan Thee Stallion freaking work out every day, but it was just a different level of creativity that went into their artistry. Like I don't think people know this, but actually, let me segue into this. I was watching a Tina documentary, and this is where
this is where the conversation is picking up.
Yeah, and go watch it on HBO. It's called Tina. It was really good. But those artists she worked for pennies for a while. She wasn't getting paid. She had to restart herself from a different artist. And not a lot of artists can do that. The sound that she had with Ike was way different than the sound that she went into in the 80s. She had to revamp herself. Not many artists can do that.
Because I think with Ike and Tina, she was more so rock and roll.
Right.
And then with just Tina, she was more so soul and Tina Turner.
But not many artists can do that. Segue into a different. Not many artists can be successful.
Yeah, most people can't change genres, but I don't think she could exist inside of rock and roll because she would have always had to.
Right.
Because at that quintessential part, you have to deal with. Because at that point in time, there were more recording industries. There was more people, more labels, and you had your rock labels, and you had your soul labels, and you had different people who dealt with different stuff. She couldn't operate in the rock sphere because those were all of Ike's friends.
Right.
So it's just like they weren't gonna fuck with you.
That was another factor. I didn't realize that he knew so many people in that space that she was being blackballed. Yeah.
He just didn't produce her.
Yeah.
And there was a lot more people who were okay with the situation than like everyone let on. So that's why I was kind of like, when we were broaching the subject that should Ike be inside the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'm like, yeah, technically he did the work, but the amount of damage that he did to this person and the amount, like what he did, it's like.
But we have to be careful with that because there's a lot of people in that rock hall that have done probably just as much or as far worse as he's done. And that's where do we draw the line? Like, I get what you're saying, Charles, but I can't separate the music from the person. And realize, okay, yes, this person was important to music. Of course. Were they a shitty person? Absolutely. And I would never want to fucking meet him ever again.
I am very good with separating people from the music the art that they make a lot of the times. But when part of your motif is being a couple, I don't think necessarily glorifying the relationship is the thing that we want to necessarily do.
I don't think.
I mean, we could. There is probably some nuance that you could do there. You could add on. It's just like inside of their whenever they do their montage inside the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is who Ike Turner. This is Ike Turner's music. This is who Ike Turner actually is.
Did she get into the Rock Hall with?
She is in a Tina Turner and Ike.
She's not there separately yet. I think she's on the bid this year.
I mean, getting into the Rock Hall is basic. See, the funny thing, it's like getting into the Rock Hall is like getting a Grammy now. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's really as big a deal as people let it on to be, because as it stands, most people kind of look at the Grammys as kind of like
some people still think it's a different. I mean, it's still a big deal to get in the Rock Hall. Like Mary J. Blige is up. It's different black artists that are up for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I mean, there are a lot of rock contemporaries are upset because hip hop is getting in, but for all intents and purposes, hip hop is the continuation of what rock was.
But I find it funny now. It's not important because now you have black artists being recognized. That's a shame. I'm like, so now it's not important because white artists are being.
Well, it's like it had for the music people. They didn't have it necessarily having to do with it being rock. It had to do with it. It was more so that they weren't doing rock and roll, as they were doing rap. So
I think that there should be multiple music, or just a music Hall of Fame, not just rock.
But that's the funny thing is just like that's kind of what the Rock and Roll Hall. But then again, they were putting in pop stars before they were before they were just putting in rock stars. So, I mean, that's ultimately why the Rock Hall of Fame inductee people have said for all intents and purposes, like, well, why can Run DMC be in here? Because like in terms of everything, it's just like they at that point in time, especially the time that everyone thinks of Run DMC, they exemplified the rebel attitude of rock and roll more than we did at that point in time. Because by the time we hit the 80s, we were dealing with hair rock. As much as we all like it, there's not too much rebel in it.
I actually like hair rock.
There's nothing wrong with liking hair rock.
I like the hair.
But when you're saying like the spirit of rock and roll, the spirit of rock and roll was more so carried forth in hip hop than it was on rock.
They should really just change the name to the Music Hall of Fame, because then it'll be, you know, this won't be. And
then you run into a whole nother litany of issues because then you got to kick it all the way back to the 1800s, and a bunch of people are about to start getting upset. It's just like, all right, who you about to do, AC/DC or Beethoven?
Oh my God, we gotta do all that shit.
I don't think that they should be on ballots. I think they should just get grandfathered in.
Yeah.
I was just have enough common sense to be like, yeah, y'all are in here.
Yeah.
We if it's like if somebody has to compete against like Mozart every single year, they're fucked.
Yeah, like I think they should do like, look, all y'all older, you know,
or even if they do like every time they do a new class of people, they do a legacy class.
I think that's a great idea.
And do like 5 or 10 legacy inductees. And so they can honor the classics and still put them inside the Music Hall of Fame.
We're going to get you guys all in here, but we just don't have the time to add you all at once because that'd be literally adding an entire wing to the Rock Hall.
Everybody, please go watch that documentary. That will be her last appearance. She's not doing too well.
Oh, it'll be on HUEO for forever.
You know, it will be. I'm just saying, you know.
I'm not sure if she gets paid, but I'm pretty sure she got paid a flat amount, and views don't necessarily matter, hopefully.
Yeah, she's 81 years old, but she's made it clear that
she done.
She's pretty much done.
I mean that entire era.
She can barely walk now.
Like, that entire era is for the most part pretty done.
Yeah, it's just sad.
Like, I think Shaka Khan is the only person who's still performing out of that entire group.
But it's just sad because you look at old footage of her just moving around and, you know, just, I don't know. It's that
rock star lifestyle.
Yeah. Just how it breaks you down. And I'm like, man, all of us going to be one day like this. And it's just like, it's hard. I
am working very hard not to be like that because I've seen old people who aren't like that. Like, there's this like 85-year-old dude that goes to Planet Fitness and he out here pumping iron.
But I understand why she's like that. She's had to endure a lot. And then she's moving around on stage in heels all the fucking time. And it's kind of like,
the rock star lifestyle, the drugs, sex, drugs, drinking, rock and roll, and then dealing with Ike.
Yeah. Moving around the hills. That's what done Sheila E. Because she was moving around the hills. They had to do surgery. She can't wear them anymore. It took one of her calves is shorter than the other.
I'm going to be real. Y'all probably shouldn't be wearing heels to begin with.
Well, I wear them like on special occasions, but I don't wear,
with the regularity that some women wear heels, it's just like y'all need to like embrace flats.
My mother was a big, huge heel fan. Like every time she stepped out, it was a heel. Now that she done fucked up everything, now it's flats, and I'm like, yep.
Oh, just get some nice running shoes. Run around like the suburban moms.
I'm a gym rat, so I'm not wearing no damn heels. You're not gonna stop me from running.
Unless you about to get the good old Boondocks. I can run at top speed in heels thing. But
like a hoe that's like.
But yeah, masters. I think this transitions into our first topic pretty well, though.
I was trying to remember. There's someone that's suing for their masters.
Suing for their masters, not Taylor Swift. She just re-recorded everything.
I see. I don't even know how to.
Genius.
See, that's the thing. Is like to a certain. Well, like the problem is her voice just doesn't sound the same as it did when she was a child. So that means there's always going to be two versions, and there are going to be people who are stuck on the fact that. Because I don't know who Scooter actually sold
Scooter's an asshole.
The masters to.
I I liked her new album.
Oh,
that
Anita
was-
Baker.
Really?
Anita Baker. Oh, she's not going to get her masters.
Well, what she said is that she waited the 35 years that is the
limitation for typically.
Yeah, limitation for them to own it.
Yeah.
And so now she's like, well, it's been that time.
Can I get
I
them
want my
mastered?
things back.
Right.
And so they're trying to fight her on it.
So which record label is this?
Probably like NBC, Paramount, or some.
So yeah, she's relying on a little known law to reclaim the rights to her old work, but there's a limit to how much it can do for her. Last week, the legendary R&B singer Anita Baker asked her fans to stop buying and streaming her music while she fights to reclaim ownership of her back catalog. Miraculously, I have outlived all my artist contracts. They no longer own my name and likeness, and by law, 30-year-old masters are to be returned to me. Unfortunately, they're going to make me fight for it. I'm prepared to do that. Please don't advertise/buy them. It's easy to understand why her fans would be rooting for her, and if the contracts she signed specifically allow for it, she may be able to succeed. But she appears to be referring to U.S. copyright law in particular, and based on the fine print, she probably wouldn't be able to use it to take back ownership of her old music. Not most of it, at least. So
you got the Mickey Mouse law. You're never gonna beat that.
No. Can I segue into something else?
What were you gonna say?
Diddy.
What did Diddy do?
Talking out here about corporate America and them.
He is corporate America.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna say what I have to say. I'm gonna read. Diddy demands change from corporate America. We are prepared to weaponize our dollars. Hip Hop Sean Diddy Combs called out General Motors in a letter penned to corporate America Thursday. So, in a letter released Thursday titled, If You Love Us, Pay Us, a letter to Sean Combs and corporate America, Combs criticizes GM for failing to fairly invest in Black-owned media, exploiting Black culture, and more. Really, Diddy?
I mean, Cadillacs have been a status symbol for people for a while. I don't know.
I understand that, Diddy, but don't you exploit your artists and don't pay them their masters and their dollars? How many artists that were signed under Diddy are doing great or well?
Not very many, because people on Bad Boy don't do terribly well.
Playing devil's advocate.
Devil don't need an advocate.
No, that devil don't need an advocate, because I asked who is doing well.
I mean, okay,
Besides
we can say the artists that he signed in the 80s and the 90s aren't doing well. But we could probably also say that the system that he learned under and the tutelage that he got taught him that is the way that you conduct business here.
So we don't ask white people to abuse us; we abuse ourselves.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
the game that he learned to play was that's
game.
The way that you go.
Okay.
That's how you do. So what I'm saying is
but he could still return everyone's masters.
But this was happening.
What I'm saying, I'm not.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And so, without y'all know Diddy's artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Outside of Biggie,
Faith.
Okay, but outside of Biggie, who do you think would have made it without Diddy?
I mean,
Craig Mack.
I don't think most of people. That's the entire issue with Bad Boy is like a record label. It's just kind of like what
all up in the videos.
What are they? I don't like. It's the entire mystique of Bad Boy. That
it was the Diddy sauce that
was it Diddy sauce?
Yes,
or was he just? No. I won't say it's Diddy sauce, because after you leave Bad Boy, it's hard to restart over. You have to forget. You forget how many pockets Diddy is in. Like,
that's not
Diddy
true.
It is true.
No, I mean, he is corporate America.
He is corporate America.
I can give an example of people that have left Diddy and went on to be amazing.
Okay.
All of the locks. So Styles P, Jadakiss, Chic Luch.
For a short period, yeah.
Not
Well,
really a short
Jadakiss is
period.
for the most part.
They
is a sustained
all
point
are
in time.
doing
Yeah,
very well.
he did. He
And-
did okay. I mean, what I'm talking to you is like he's had more artists fail under him, and this is like
I mean,
2000.
all right, I will
Fell
also
under
say
him
that
or fell
that's-
after leaving him?
No, fail. No, I'll say
I
this.
will also say that it's not necessarily fair to say people failed under you because 90% of artists fail under
Who
everybody.
failed under him though? Danny D. Kane was
Oh,
successful. Mace
will-
was successful. Biggie was successful. Faith Evans was successful.
I'm talking about more so a recent track record in terms of just like
who's recent
Is MGK still
is-
signed to him?
yes, MGK is still a
and doing pretty well.
Yeah, he changed over to rock. and
moderately.
He's doing good in rock.
Not complaining about his contract.
Oh no, he does complain about his contract.
No, a lot of.
What is he say?
It's like he does
No,
complain about his
is.
contract.
What is his
I've seen
complaint?
that.
Is that for the most part, Bad Boys pretty much left him out inside of the cold because after they signed him, because it's not like they did a large MGK push. He hasn't really like his overall win share has not actually grown the way that it probably should have.
He's doing good on that rock album, though. He is actually.
I'm not a fan of his pop punk album.
I'm not either, but it's doing really well with the white audience. You know,
alright.
it's doing really well.
It's
He
like
pushed himself into that though. It wasn't Bad Boy, but you're right. Bad Boy did
Okay,
it.
so
but it's less
what
like
he's
I
mad
can't
about
really.
is them not promoting him.
Yeah, I
Is he
mean,
mad about not getting paid?
I've never really heard his payment has been an issue with.
Oh, but that's what she's talking about people being broke. All right, so let's not talk about promotion. Let's talk about the niggas that aren't getting paid.
I mean, nobody gets paid on the first three.
Like
really,
let's not forget. Okay,
So who
Mace
else?
penned a letter to him a year ago, and I remember this verbatim. He penned a letter. I don't know if Diddy said something about black dollars. He's like, speaking of black dollars. Like,
What he told Mace is,
but
you can buy them.
it's like
I get if y'all were saying that Sony said this because Sony isn't also in the studio helping produce and turning Murder Mace into Pretty Mace because Mace was a thug and on a killer wave, and when he got with Diddy, his whole motif, his whole brand, his whole image changed. That's what happened. So if I'm the one that created this whole image and persona for you, I'm also the one that's producing all of the music.
So
am I not entitled to anything?
He did. He got plenty. You see where Diddy lives, and all his artists are broke. Yeah, he got plenty. Like, it's just, to me, I do not like Diddy. I don't like his energy.
I don't
like how
have an issue with him saying buy
I guess
it.
I
Jeezy
get
is
it.
still him.
It's just like, I don't like his energy. I don't like
Jeezy doesn't complain. Jeezy is fine. So like I'm saying, like,
we don't know what Jeezy says behind the
Gorilla
scenes.
Zoe technically still exist underneath him.
Is he?
Yes.
Really?
I mean, there are a lot of smaller artists that are around him, but the problem always is with your first three records. No one ever makes any money off of their first three records.
No.
but
Now,
I'll say, he put out Danny Kane. Danny Kane was super successful. He put out Day 26. Day 26, super successful.
But
French
here's my thing
Montana.
with Diddy. Like, I don't like his energy. I don't like how you try to. Now you want to be pro-black and brotherly love. Fuck
I guess
you.
my thing is he not allowed?
I think he's always
to,
kind of been pro-black to
well,
a certain
not even
degree.
that. Let's say he wasn't. Is a man not
Fuck you.
allowed to evolve and grow?
Didn't say that, but you still playing that same fucking game, and it's kind of like
How?
fuck you.
But how is he still playing?
I mean,
but how is he still playing the game?
my thing is when you gotta talk, when you talk the talk, you gotta start walking the
Yep.
walk.
Absolutely.
And when you look at it, it's just like
What
you
is he
can't-
doing?
You can't be angry at corporate America. It's just like, hey, you gotta pay us. It's just like for using my images and stuff like that. Or it's just like, you gotta, but then you gotta start being kinder to the black people that were under you and help you get all this money. So it's just like, yeah, you might want to let go of some of these people's masters if they're not actually real. It's
so
like telling people you gotta
being
buy.
Like, I remember
willing
when
to sell it when most companies aren't even willing to come to the table because they don't have a reason to, because there is no business reason to come to the table the only reason to sit down is because I feel a moral responsibility to entertain this conversation.
Understandable, but at the same time,
outside of me feeling a moral responsibility to entertain and say, hey, let's come up with a fair number and work this out.
When is he done?
But
that's what he told Mace.
But my thing is, when you start broaching the things of morality, the moral thing would probably just be to release them.
You can't play.
What?
But the moral thing would be to release them if I was Sony and I had done nothing to also contribute to this. Which
it's sort of if you look at it, and if you want to say if you've done nothing, well, Sony owns the people who employs the people who employ the people to get them to be the thing.
Technically, Sony, let's say, signed you, and then what you did was go out, find producers, have your own in-house camp, and then come back to Sony with an album. And you did that 8 times. And now you come back and say, hey, I'd like my masters back. Sony has done nothing realistically outside of signing you and giving you a platform.
Inside of that
mechanism, but that's generally how labels operate. That is par for the course.
Most record labels give loans. They are a loan entity.
Yeah, and you go out and you leverage that loan and that money and you resource.
You make 3 good albums, and then hopefully you make more money off of those albums. You pay back your loans, and whatever you have in excess from those loans are yours.
Yeah. So if I also was in the studio spending 12 hours a day, endless weekends, and focus on this, am I not entitled to some of it? Let's say, all right, you say, all right, I don't want you to own it anymore. I'm saying, all right.
I mean, I'd be down to be like, all right, I'll give you we'll give you a 75-25 split or a 70 or a 66-33 split on the profit from your masters.
But just let you know.
I mean, the thing about it is, I don't think most people are. The funny thing about it is, I don't think most people actually understand what their masters are actually worth, because a lot of people think that just because they see these like Wayne selling for these large amounts, seeing these large numbers attached to these other artists. When Maze goes to sell his masters, he's probably only going to be able to sell them for like $15-20 million.
But my only thing is that's fine. Whatever he gets, it's just Diddy also was actively there and had a hand in the creation. I get when corporations don't do anything and they just profit off of. And so if Diddy wasn't actively a producer, not him being in the videos, none of that, him producing the brand identity. Bad Boy.
Diddy's more of a marketer than he is like a pure music producer.
Yeah.
But no, he's also a pure music producer, because what he does is not actually sit down and like
Stevie J's producing. That's Stevie J's producing.
Oh, true.
That's the reason why I said he was more of a marketer. He has a holistic approach.
He's a pure producer in the true sense of being a music producer. He's more of like a music composer. Stevie J is going to make the instrumental. He's going to tell Stevie J, I need you to take out this, and this, rearrange this. I'm going to have these people come in and play this. He's structuring and actually producing how it sounds, how it flows, what people are saying. So he's actually being a actual producer, more like...
He's a composer.
Yes.
He's coming up with the composition of the album. I mean, that's the thing. He does know how to make hit albums.
And so that's what
he has a lot of one-hit wonders on his label, but that requires like a certain degree of understanding what a hit album is actually going to be.
But that's what Bad Boy was known for. Like, you're going to be flashy, you're going to put out hits. Like, it was a certain sound. Like, you knew the Bad Boy sound. You knew the Bad Boy aesthetic. That was all Diddy.
I get it. I get what you're saying, Tony, but what I do not like is somebody preaching to me and then you have a history of fucking people. Like, he got drugged for that comment. Everybody on the internet drugged Diddy. And it's kind of like, I get it. What you're saying is correct. Absolutely. But then I have to look at you and be like, you're the same.
I see. That's my issue. People are too worried about...
Hold on. You're the same type of corporate America that you're talking about. And y'all can like brush over this, but
okay, let's say he is. Let's say he is. does that invalidate his point?
I said he was right.
But so all right, so people are too focused on the messenger to actually digest a real point. Why are you worried about the messenger when the point is still correct, valid, and should be more focused on than we don't like the messenger that said it. But hey, this is the truth.
I look at Diddy as the corporate America. I do. I look at him as the same entity as that.
Does that make it any less true? Should we, as a people, let's say we don't want to get behind
Diddy to be the face of that.
Okay, let's say we don't get behind Diddy. Should we not, as a people, say, hey, let's put pressure on them for our own causes?
Absolutely, and I will join in when that happens. But
so the point is right, but y'all, it's not going to happen because y'all are so upset at Diddy because Diddy is the one that said it that y'all going to focus on being mad at Diddy.
I'm not terribly upset with Diddy.
Past.
At the end of the day, I think we, as Black people, it's another issue of compartmentalization. It's like we can handle our own issues privately, and because it's one of those things. It's just like if we, as a group, look at Diddy and be like, "Hey, you gotta stop dealing with all our people all fucked up. Like how you treat MGK is not really our problem, but the way you treat
how many people have died on Bad Boy?
It's the existence. I mean,
souls, man. I'm telling you, man. He just be like,
it's existing inside of majority of these people exist inside of gang culture, and a lot of them exist inside of South Florida.
But like,
it's like people die.
I understand, but I don't know that motherfucker's evil. I don't give a fuck what nobody says.
I'm not gonna broach the issues of morality because at the end of the day, I know
even if he's evil, we should probably, as a unit, focus on the point and then privately call that nigga
he's gonna throw it
to task.
Yes, we can privately hold someone up. So hold someone's hand in the fire, and then, but if he's also going to throw his money behind getting all,
and that's my thing. It's like while we want to shit on it, Diddy has money and power and a platform that allows for leverage. So we might not like the nigga that's saying it.
We might not like the crowbar that pulls up the floor, but if it gets the flooring pulled up, at the end of the day, what does it necessarily matter?
Yeah, and that's my thing. It's like everybody's too focused on, oh, but Diddy said it. So what?
I just feel how I feel. It's not.
I mean, it's like I'm not the biggest Diddy fan, but at the end of the day, we need to look at the entire music.
Suge Knight was right.
No, Suge Knight.
Yes, he was.
Like, if you want to call someone evil, Suge Knight's actually evil. So you think
Suge Knight was more evil than Diddy?
Well,
yes.
No.
One person murders people.
So you don't think Diddy didn't have people murdered?
Not that anyone can prove.
Exactly. Diddy had his out put on people. Don't get it twisted. Wasn't his father a gangster?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what Diddy is.
His father was a big time drug dealer. Yes, he was.
Diddy's a part of that
whole. Hold on. Diddy's a part of that whole culture of. He may not be the. See, Suge Knight. Called out Diddy. I respect him for it, and he was right. You know, Diddy is in the same entity as Suge Knight to me. He is no different, and yeah, he's had hits put out on people, just like Jay-Z has. You ever notice why Jay-Z's other kids are disappeared?
I don't know. I didn't know Jay-Z had other kids.
They claim to be Jay-Z's other kids. What I'll say is this.
Pictures
what I'll say is this.
Okay.
I mean, at that point, you probably just threw money at them.
Throw money at a situation and make it go. It happens a lot in the music industry.
That's fine.
Hey. I mean, it's not like rappers don't have other kids.
I guess
it's not anything new.
This is par for the course. All the things that you're speaking on, let's say that they do happen. If everyone's doing it, then no one's more evil than the next person. Then so how is Diddy the most evil?
I knew who Suge Knight was. Suge Knight just showed his face.
So because you did know who Diddy was and he hides it, it makes it more evil?
He's manipulative. He's more manipulative than Suge Knight is.
Suge Knight was wild. Nah.
No, Suge Knight.
What Suge Knight did with Dre was wild.
How Suge Knight portrayed it was, I can't be an angel around a bunch of demons. He was picking people off the fucking street. So,
but you chose to surround yourself with demons.
No, that's not necessarily true.
No, he said that. That is why.
But he chose to
but that's
surround
not
himself
the
with
right way
demons.
He
to
did.
behave yourself.
I didn't say it was
Even
right
if
or
you're picking
wrong.
up a whole bunch of demons,
I didn't say it was
then
Go
wrong.
let
you
the
should
other
be the
demons do
one that
demon
should
things.
be transforming them
I-
into angels.
I never
Because
said
you
it
were
was
once a
right.
demon yourself, so you beating on them, emasculating them, and doing all kinds of foul shit doesn't
Because like
lend to you being
Death Row was
less
pretty
evil.
much
And don't
just
forget,
Dr.
don't
Dre.
forget, I forget the rumors about what Diddy does, how he emasculates, how he rapes people. It's basically
okay, but
y'all
I can
trying
talk
to-
about facts.
Okay,
You talk about
you
rumors.
can talk about facts, and that's just been a thing in the
I
music
don't
industry.
like
That's
to
not-
throw random rumors out there
It's
that I
not a
can't.
random rumor. This has been going on. This has been
No,
spreading
it's
for a while.
it's the whole Illuminati
It's
conspiracy.
not Illuminati. This
That's where it spouts from is the emasculation of men and making them
Okay.
do other things like that. All spouted from
So,
like the Illuminati,
y'all
and
believe Diddy straight.
I don't care.
Y'all
What does that
believe
matter?
Diddy, y'all don't believe Diddy don't go around fucking little underage boy? Okay.
No, like I don't.
Mm.
There's no
I
proof
feel
of that.
like
So if
there
was
would have been
proof
a
of that-
reasonable amount of blackmail about that. So,
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, one of our top who was it? One of the pioneers of hip hop. His ass is not in jail, and plenty of
Who?
people done came out. I can't think of the name. I will.
Curtis Blow is a
It wasn't Curtis Blow. He had like a big, huge following of like little kids and boys in New York City. I will think of it
Huh?
and I'll bring it up.
Because I don't.
It's it's known
Well,
now.
Google it.
I will.
I don't. It's like I can generally follow routes, but I'm just not. I know that it's very dangerous to throw things out there and not necessary. Like
yeah,
I
I'm not
can't
going to just throw
corroborate
that
anything.
on that.
I don't know. Like this is the first I've heard about any of this because I don't listen to things that people randomly say on the internet.
Yeah, no. Like I
Never will.
said,
No,
what
so sad.
I know is
Africa Bambaataa.
Oh, African Bambaataa.
oh well, yeah, that came out about him.
Yeah,
What
but
is
is
it?
he sitting in prison right now? No.
what
it's
did he?
kinda like-
what did they say he did?
It said that he was touching underage boys back in the day.
Statute of limitations.
Yeah,
That's the reason why he's not in jail.
that has nothing to do with.
No, but it does. Like people hide that shit. How long did that shit go under the radar?
I mean, but
it was just
him,
rumors.
but
at the
him
time.
being it doesn't like lend to other people being it. That's like,
Mm.
yeah, they're sick people, but
Doesn't make me sick.
there's people that refuse to come back to the country. What is his name?
Edward Snowden?
No, the white
the
boy.
movie producer. You talking about?
You talking about the dude who sat inside the Russian?
No, the guy that married his stepdaughter.
Aaron
That wasn't. No,
Stoltman?
he's in the country, ain't he?
Something Allen.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
you're
Woody
talking-
Allen?
Yeah.
Oh,
Woody
yeah.
Allen. Robert Polanski. I thought you. Were
He just
talking
won't
about.
come here.
yeah, because they trying to toss his ass in jail.
Exactly.
They
so
just came out
what I'm
about
saying
it,
is like
I understand.
there's
Yeah, there's
in every field there's going to be
Absolutely.
depravity, and so
Absolutely,
unless
but I'm
it's going to
talking-
be confirmed, I'm not going to just throw it on people because that's something that people like to throw on
right.
rich people because they have nothing better to do than speculate how they got rich and what they're doing behind
I'm
the
not
scenes.
saying Diddy's out here just having blood sacrifices or none of that. I just said I look at him sideways and I do not trust him. That's all I'm gonna
mean-
keep it that way. And y'all can. I wouldn't be shocked if something came out about.
Oh,
him.
I'm never gonna be shocked if anything comes
Yeah, I'm not
out
shocked. I
about
don't
anybody.
trust anybody. I'm not shocked about anybody, but
It's
I
like,
don't just assume everything of anybody either. I just be like, well, that's what happened to
a
them
lot
today.
of people are
All
pretty
right.
shitty. So if another person pops up that's pretty shitty, I'm not really surprised.
Yeah, like I grew up around people that were actively burning their daughters' vaginas so they wouldn't be appealing for sex,
Right.
and then also actively like letting random grown men have sex with their like 2-year-old.
Right.
So I've seen a very fucked up world. So anybody being a fucked up person don't surprise me. It's just not something that I go around speculating on people either because it's
I should
not
say
productive.
allegedly. I should say allegedly on here. Sorry. Allegedly. All this is alleged.
Unconfirmed. We don't know none of that. That's
Yeah,
not
we
alleged.
don't.
She just made that up. She just said that.
This is allegedly. I'm gonna say
Oh.
There's no
alleged.
allegations.
Oh no, there's allegations require someone actually coming out and accusing you.
I have to say it.
Well,
for
yeah, no,
court
you
of
have to
law.
say allegedly, so you can't say you slandering that man,
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh.
which is craziness. Because yeah, no, that was.
I'm not the only person slandering that man.
So
I mean, just because you're not the only one doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do.
I don't care about slandering Diddy.
oh,
You know what I mean?
until he come after all your money,
I said allegedly all $100.
he gonna come after every dime that you ever make.
Okay.
It's gonna be like
I said allegedly, y'all.
you gonna buy a house, he gonna put a lien on it immediately. It's just like
Yeah, I'm gonna take your $40,000 house because you talking about me.
All I know
if
is
he really the type of person that you think he is, he definitely petty enough to pay a lawyer.
Of course.
Pay a lawyer a retainer.
I already said
It's gonna
allegedly.
be-
Charles already said allegedly. I didn't say this was true or not or false or whatever. I said rumor. I said allegedly. Can't really say anything else.
Oh no, you have to start the statement with allegedly, from what I understand. I can talk to some
No,
lawyers.
you can say it after I said all this is alleged. Thank you.
all I know
You
is
just have to use it.
I think that people should focus more on the point that Diddy was making and being mad at Diddy about him responding to GMC using his network's name is kind of petty because that's why he wrote the open letter. It wasn't like he just came out of nowhere with it. GMC was getting called out for not advertising on black networks by themselves. They name drop, oh, we advertise on Revolt. And Diddy was like, excuse me, you don't give us nowhere near the type of business that you give the other networks. And
I have the numbers.
Yeah, and so that's my thing. It's like, well,
and you pretty much only sell Cadillacs.
He spoke because
you tried to use you tried to use me to shield yourself from criticism.
Yeah.
And he was just like, excuse me, sir.
Yeah, so that's my thing. It's like we should focus more on the point of, hey, maybe companies should invest more in black media. And
there's an entire conversation about black people not being able to get the amount of money from different entities that white people get for no particular reason. But that's a whole nother conversation.
We should move on to censorship.
Okay.
So my question for this was, y'all been on Facebook, Instagram, all that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen someone potentially get shot by the cops on there, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it could be days after, and you can still see that. All it's going to say is like a little gray screen says, this is sensitive material.
Yep. I saw that today with DMX posing with dogs.
Yeah. So
cartoon dogs.
Why is that acceptable, but you can't be nude on social media?
Because we've galvanized ourselves to violence.
Hold on. I have something to say. Because I follow a couple of sex workers, and they've touched on this, how they're censored because they're nobodies. But you got Gwyneth Paltrow or Kim Kardashian posing naked, and that's fine. You know, these people get away with anything. But then you got little girls on TikTok being half naked that are underage, and that's socially acceptable. So who are they really penalizing? Just regular women or what?
I mean, I follow some people with OnlyFans because they also do nerd stuff. Yeah. And they've had problems on TikTok because, like, this girl named Vivka, she has an OnlyFans and apparently, I guess, is pretty big. But it's like, but she runs into problems constantly. It's just like this photo isn't revealing at all, and it technically has no sexual context. It's just me inside of this latex suit, but y'all just took it down. And I mean, it's not the first time that sex workers are kind of used to lift something up and then they're kicked off the thing. It happened with Patreon. It's probably going to happen with TikTok. It's kind of what tech does when people start paying attention.
But I just want to say the hypocrisy. You know, I get what you're saying, Charles.
Oh, I understand that it's hypocritical.
But the
no one's
kitty,
gonna actually fight for sex workers. It's not something that we do.
but kitty porn is fine. Like all this movement about child pornography and shit. But then I turn on TikTok, you got underage girls half naked dressing how they not supposed to be dressing. It's kind of like, so what is socially acceptable? Because right now you're telling me that underage girls are fine dressing half naked, but me being a sex worker having my boobs out and my nipples covered isn't. So which one is it? Are we going to be morally right or not?
I don't know what half naked actually is. So it's like, are they in bikinis? Are they?
Let's say bikinis.
We'll say
then
that.
Technically that's legal and fine.
I mean, you got sex workers in
or
bikinis
let's say
and they get
they're
banned.
in their bra and panties.
Right.
Still legal
and like
fine, technically.
Yeah, but you probably, as a 13-year-old, shouldn't be
popping that. I mean, I'm pretty sure inside of the terms of services, I think it says for most social media networks, you're not actually allowed to join if you're underneath a certain age. So that technically legally covers them because at that point, is their parents not managing their access to the internet?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I get what Katrina's saying, where it's like,
I completely and totally get it. I'm just saying, is like
looking to be moral, realistically.
They're looking to cover their asses legally.
It's all about the dollar, because I guess, like,
yes,
I guess from what I see,
being a part of a platform undermines your bottom line because
certain entities won't work with you, things like that. And so
as soon as you got to the point where like that became a thing and people started paying advertising bucks, kick them to the curb. Same thing Patreon did. Twitter hasn't done it.
Patreon did that?
Yes. Patreon used to be the literal equivalent to OnlyFans and they kicked everybody off.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I follow a lot of large technological things and I see the large waves of this. Like when Patreon got big enough, like basically everyone used to do their photos through Patreon and they kicked them off, and that's the only reason why OnlyFans exists.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think OnlyFans is gonna stay the porn thing?
It's their main squeeze, but the more people actually come, but the thing is, because like OnlyFans is purely subscription based, I don't think they get any money from anywhere else, and I don't think they have any outside investors currently. If they start selling to outside investors and things like that when their Patreon happens, then
trust me, all these OnlyFans pages, like if you advertise, even Linktree that you're starting to use, like sex workers starting to use Linktree, they're gonna start deleting those things. Like that's what I said. Like if you're a sex worker right now, save your coins. Save your. I mean, you're gonna figure out another way, but
quintessentially. I mean, you could ultimately. There's probably a market for a web application that allows for these people to pretty much all run their own digital storefronts inside of this.
Yeah, but you make more money off a social network than you would off
because it's pretty much marketing,
right? That's why I said when a lot of these girls and they're not looking because a lot of these girls their pages are getting banned and everything else. I tell them like. Save your dollars or go do webcamming. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks.
I just know Twitter hasn't done it. I know for sure.
Not yet, but they're gonna start.
Well, I don't think Twitter's going to start.
I don't think Twitter cares.
Not now. They are starting to though, from what I know.
Like I haven't really seen too much of an issue.
Like you can pretty much do whatever you want on Twitter.
I mean, Titty Tuesday is a thing that exists on Twitter.
But
I know a lot of their settings are set up where you have to actively go and set it up where you can see like
explicit photos,
photos and like adult content.
But one of the websites used to be like that, and then they totally switched it up overnight. It was
Tumblr,
yeah.
Well, Tumblr had a child pornography problem,
right? But
so they just nuked it all.
But that could happen with
I don't
Twitter.
Think that it would happen in the same way it happened with Tumblr, because Tumblr was like pages.
Yeah, you had like small microcosms. Technically, you can make things privately. And
Twitter is more like you just
it's an RSS
post
feed.
Stuff into like the feed, and if you're following it, so they'd probably just nix all the accounts.
Right.
And not really like change or make them verify.
Right. But all I'm saying is like the censorship in this country is
backwards.
Yeah, it's real.
it's reactionary.
Like, are we trying to be morally right, or you guys just don't like women showing their bodies?
It's pretty much it's how do I put this without actually might as well not really necessarily. It's pretty much just people being upset about other people being pretty free with themselves. And it's just like it's partly like the Christianity that's baked into this entire country, which is weird because it's not really supposed to be, but like that's we're allowing it to go like govern our morals, and we really shouldn't be because most of these people are moral and they're trying to put up a face or a facade that they're being moral, but it's like they're the people who are saying that like you need to take these pages down, and then there are people sending them probably most of the money.
Or overly moral people, I look at them sideways now. It's not like
I mean, there are some people who actually live moral lives.
Absolutely, yeah. Those people aren't two-faced. I was like, yeah, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. I get it. You know, you don't agree with my line of work. I get it.
But those also aren't the people who are actively seeking out porn that actually know that it exists to begin with.
Exactly. So, it's kind of like, well,
how'd you get here?
Exactly. Right. It's just like there are these OnlyFans models that are such and such and such and such. Little do you know, Representative Jeff has like a burner bank account that's only for his OnlyFans things.
Same with porn stars. Like I was watching a documentary about life after porn, and it's kind of like this one lady worked at her. She got a real estate license or whatever. She was a big time porn star. She quit. She went straight and narrow. They called her into office and fired her. It's like, well, why did you fire me?
Because you did
porn.
Well,
we found your porn online. Like, what were you doing researching my porn?
Well, I mean, you can do
name. Under another
it's a
name.
Pseudonym. It's just like, my husband Jeff was jerking off to your stuff and I fired you. That's what you deserve.
I think that's bullshit, though. But
it's the entire issue. It's kind of an issue in America because most people can be fired for any reason at any point in time as long as a country wants to, or not a country or a company wants to. So
it's kind of like we tell these women, okay, well, just go get a regular job. Okay, I'll go get a regular job.
Nah, bro.
Oh, no, you can't. You can't work here because you used to do such and such. It's like, well, which one is it?
I don't know. I mean, we're one of the, a lot of first world countries have sex work banned for ad nauseum.
But they want to try to, they should just legalize it.
I mean, legalizing it. You know, being able to tax people for basically being hookers and selling weed would probably fix a lot of our tax economy.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, if they legalize sex work, they can concentrate on the bad parts of underage shit.
Not even the illegalization of sex work. It's the villainization of legal sex work. It's like there is a very different delineation of the person that's walking down the street selling their body or whatever they want to services they're offering versus the person that
selling nude pictures
just
online.
from a legal standpoint.
Right.
And so if they're doing something legal, I don't get why we have such a issue with it. They're not hurting anybody. This is something that we've deemed a moral acceptability in our society since it's allowable, correct? Mm-hmm. All right. So where's the fucking issue? Now, if they're like, hey, let me go find this stranger and fuck him for some money and then put it on camera, that gets a little questionable.
Well, it's legal, ain't it? The porn is legal. This is what I don't
you can't show yourself getting paid for the act of sex. That's the illegal part.
I think if you are too look, I'm a firm
I understand
believer.
the technical reasons for that, but that is such an odd caveat. Is like you can't show the changing hands of money.
So what you can do is you can frame it in the sense of the production is paying this actor, yes.
Here's my
thing.
And the time. Here's my
but
thing
we don't know what they're going to be doing with that time.
Or even for that time, like, because you can pay for porn scenes. Like, you can produce porn, and that's legal. It's not prostitution.
No.
But it has to be like a contract and set up that way, where it's like, all right, we're going to shoot this is going to be paid. So, I mean, there's ways that I guess prostitutes could turn this into a legal business, but that's also a lot of hoops to jump through to be like, all right, we got to sign this and it's got to go out.
But here's my
to be distributed because a lot of niggas aren't trying to,
But here's my
put
thing.
that out.
Here's my thing though. Why, if I don't want my face out there, if I just want to be a prostitute, right? If I want to have consensual sex, consensual. I'm not talking about rape. I'm not talking about being forced into prostitution. If that's what I want to do with my body, and I don't want to be taped, then why is that deemed horrible?
Now you gotta wear a ski mask.
Shut the fuck up.
There's only one state where it is legal, which is Nevada.
Well, parts of Nevada.
It's crazy.
Not the Strip.
Yeah, which is, they do it anyway on the Strip, but it's just not.
Well, the Strip is such a defined place in Las Vegas. Technically,
it's not legal in Las Vegas.
No,
it's legal in Nevada. It's not legal at all in Las Vegas. Yeah, so Sin City, the place that you go.
Well, the thing is, Las Vegas is. But the thing about
Las
Vegas is a city, but it's not the entirety of the city. So, like, you could technically go out to one of the suburbs.
I mean, yeah, you can probably get it popping in Henderson and shit like that.
Yeah, but
I want to make my money on the Strip.
No, nothing in actual money. Las Vegas.
You think about it. You know how many people.
There are definitely probably escorts that you can call. You can probably pay them outside when they're coming from Henderson and pay them to come to you and then sleep with them there. And then
they're escort service are legal.
Yeah, you can hire escorts. Yeah,
like you can hire escort. You just like, oh, I'm just gonna give him a massage. I'm not having sex with him. Like, you just be like, so you can't really arrest me, can you?
Oh, go have your fun. But the problem with it is more so just the fact that we have the people have to jump through all these hoops just makes it chronically unsafe.
Yeah.
Doing it. So it's more so a safety thing that I'm thinking of.
One lady came to me off this website. She's like, well, I'm paid such and such. And I'm like, no, that's low. If I have to do my own due diligence of doing background checks and shit, why are you paying me that little?
It's like
I could do this shit on my own then. You're not. Safety means everything,
with an escort service, you're pretty much paying for a pimp.
But if they made this legal, then they will feel comfortable going to the police.
There will be better ways of going about it. Yeah. You would have to police less things, just like with the entire weed thing. It's just like, you know how much money y'all waste cracking down on weed sellers?
Exactly.
It would all go out the window.
They can tax them, and they will have better relationship with the police. You're absolutely right. And they can focus on child trafficking rather than...
Or just sex trafficking in general, where you're snatching people and making them sex slaves.
Exactly. They will have more of a relationship with the escorts and the prostitutes.
It's just like they can point out the bad places, or they can tell you where the girls who got snatched up from Bolivia or wherever the hell they're from, and it's just like it brought over inside of containers. Like, almost most progressive people believe that this is the where you should go, and it's weird because whenever you poll America, most people believe this is the way that you should go, but the people who actually vote aren't the people who they poll.
Yeah, the answer is no.
So it's like the people who are voting for these things and come up with the laws, the people who want these changes and the people who actually vote aren't the same group of people. So that means it's never going to happen.
You're right.
So unless that other group actually goes out and actually does stuff.
I think there's the generation Z, V.
Z is the one after millennials.
All right, Z.
Yes.
I think that since the boomers and before were very, very focused on voting, then there was like our generation and X that was like, fuck out of our faces, my nigga. And we just did whatever. But boomers and the older generations have a very conservative perspective.
Yes.
And so they've been voting this entire time. And so it stayed conservative. Generation Z, on the other hand, does not have that perspective.
It's very much Molotov cocktail and Antifa type.
They're also very interested in politics and voting and being inside of that sphere, unlike how we were. So
I mean, I existed like later millennials are more so in there, but you could argue
they're
they're more so
starting to. But I think it has something to do with the way that we came into this economy. It's kind of like, well, fuck y'all voting.
I was
I'm broke.
always politically activated, but that's just the nature of my family.
Right.
It was like my grandmother was beat me over the head since I was young. Take your ass out there and
You
vote.
ain't gonna vote because your answer. I'm like, man, I get it, but they also gave me.
I mean,
a choice
it wasn't my ancestor.
No,
it was literally just them.
No, it was like my mom gave me that chat, and I'm like, they also gave me the right if I want to vote or not. I don't have to go out and vote if I don't feel like I should. If I literally do not like anyone or anything on that ballot, I should have the choice and the freedom to say no. That's not your decision.
No, you can't say no.
I can't say no.
You gotta say yes.
I just
well,
say
it's
no.
just like I don't know.
No.
It's one of those things of like I understand that oftentimes the choices aren't necessarily all that great, but there is typically a better and a worse choice. And it's one of those things where talking to my Caucasian compatriots, they get upset about a lot of these things. It's just like, well, why aren't you guys voting the way that you think we think you should vote? Because y'all are just kind of showing up to this party. So when y'all really are about it, because the funny thing is you guys always say you guys about to walk this walk, and when the rubber hits the road, half the time y'all don't even show up.
Yeah, that's true.
So we gonna keep picking between the worst of two evils until you come on, till you actually really get on the train and actually really dedicate yourself. Because y'all aren't really throwing your money behind it. You aren't doing a lot of things. You're not using, like some people are using their privilege. I will say some people are, but a lot of people aren't. Like with this, with the Stop Asian Hate thing, it's just like a lot of like Asian people are calling out the Black Lives Matter and Black activists out here.
Why?
Like, because they're not as activated for the Asian hate thing as they were for the Black people thing, even though some are.
Why should we? Excuse me, Asians. Excuse y'all, but I don't remember y'all being so active with Black Lives Matter either. I remember in your country that you were kicking Black people out of their homes during COVID. That's what I remember. And I remember you guys beating people up in fucking nail salons and shit. It's just, I mean, let's get down to the nitty gritty when it comes to Asians and Blacks.
I mean, but all that can be pointed at as white systemic racism and how they pitted us against each other.
Oh, no, I definitely think that's indefinitely true. And I think this can all, like, when you look at them, is like, all right, this is true, but at the end of the day is like, I think all the minorities are starting to figure out like, oh, they don't like any of us really.
But why did it take all of that to figure that out?
Because
it's kind of like no. This is because it's anger towards me because I've seen Black women get beat up in fucking nail salons. Like I'm not. I get it. What's going on is wrong. Absolutely. I am totally against it. Yes, stop the hate and all this. But I don't owe you my leverage of my Black voice saying stop Asian. I don't. Because you didn't use your voice.
That's fair. I don't think that you owe anybody anything. But what I will say is that most people in any situation don't really identify.
They don't understand the heat until they feel the fire.
What's going on, unless they experience. Me and Charles, to just like for easier situations, have lots of conversations where Charles expects other people to have a certain perspective or certain like just base understanding of things, and I always have to tell him, you come from a place that gave you that. That's not broad and par for the course. So when people get there is when they get there. And you got to just allow people to get there. Because if we always just mad at everybody getting there late, then we just always just isolated. So while I recognize that there is some reconciliation that needs to be done between the two groups, that is...
It's counterproductive to the stance that we need to have now.
I understand, but
I don't even think it's counterproductive to the stance that we need to have now. I think that we can walk and chew bubblegum. I think that we can say, hey,
We can
I'd
reconcile
like
while we move forward.
to sit down and us have discourse about the relationship between the Black and Asian community. And I would like the leaders of the Asian community and Asian activist groups and leaders of Black community and Black activist groups to come and sit down and us reconcile some of the issues that we would like to address with y'all and the way that we feel like we were mistreated. I think we can do that, as well as say, hey, you also shouldn't kill them. I think you can do both at the exact same time. And that's it for me. It's not that you have to pick one or the other. I think that we are nuanced enough that we can say, hey, we have issues with y'all because we have a complicated past, because y'all were given certain privileges that allowed you to invest and build your wealth off of our communities. There's some reconciliation that we would like to do with that, especially with the way that certain things were framed. That's very fair. You white people also got to stop killing them, though. And that's it. It can be both.
Like during COVID, like just seeing what was going on with Africans, you know, on those parts in Asia, you know, getting being turned down for, you know, bus service or getting kicked out of their homes and or being turned away from the hospitals. It's kind of
I
like,
think that's unfair.
It's really,
That's unfair.
I understand, but
That's not fair, though.
I get it. Nothing is fair.
No,
in
but
life,
what I'm saying is it's unfair to blame people who are born in this
I
country
understand, but
for people that
those are
do
their
things.
families.
No, it's
still,
not.
Yeah,
It's,
they are.
regardless,
Regardless,
if those just because they may have relation, that doesn't mean that they're the same thing.
But the same.
That's why they're being targeted right now, is because
the same dissertation towards Black people seeps into American culture here with Asians. Like, you've seen it.
True, but we can't blame them for anything that has happened in another country. That is not their responsibility, plight.
I'm talking about the culture, Tom. It's just,
but
it's a whole thing to where I understand what's going on over there isn't completely their fault, but that is their culture. That's how they view us, and it's kind of like, well, okay, I get it.
I mean, you can say potentially that's how people view you if they're from.
But Asians
if they're
thinking that
recently from there.
But Asians thinking that we owe them our voices because we don't speak up for them.
Like I said,
I don't.
You don't owe. That's not what I'm saying. You don't owe them your voice.
That was just my answer to
that. You not owing them voice doesn't have anything to do with the people here who are born here that are Americans that have had nothing to do with anything that people in China have done.
I didn't say anything with China's done. I said it seeped into their culture in America. Into their people.
I wouldn't say that it seeped into their culture in America. No. What I would say is that it's white supremacy that is the leading culture in America, and for all intents and purposes, white supremacy says shit on the Black person and you can get ahead.
Yeah.
So
and
what
they still followed that.
So you're right. There's reconciliation that we need to do with them because they wanted to ignore the fact that the whites were shitting on them so they could feel superior and shit on somebody else. So yes, there's reconciliation that has to happen inside the communities, but that's separate from us saying white supremacy is a continual issue and it's going to continuously claim lives. This is just Dylan Roof in a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't just an Asian issue. This is all of our issue because white people get guns and kill minorities.
Yes.
They don't just kill Asians. They don't just kill Blacks. They just kill people of color.
Yes.
So it's no longer, we can say, yeah, Asian, let's stop Asian hate because that is what the focus is right now. But the overarching issue is white supremacy is leading white people to be like, you know what? I'm going to just start killing minorities.
But I get it. I get what you're saying. All I want that energy because I've been seeing that. I want the Asians that come out and say, "Well, why aren't Black Lives Matter speaking for us?" And why, blah, like, well, start recognizing the issue of why that is. I'm not saying they're wrong in their convictions. I'm not saying we can't come together, but I'm just saying the way we can come together is them start recognizing, hey, yeah, that was fucked up. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You part of it is grappling with a situation that one is not inherently any Asian's fault. They are considered to be the quote unquote model minority.
Exactly.
They're perfect. They act perfectly. They strive for all the American ideals. They do the hard work thing. They go into a lot of these situations and like typically they just work really hard and do all the things the white people say that all the minorities do, pull themselves up by the bootstraps, yada yada yada. But inside of that, this is them learning that like white people acting like you're perfect.
They're the perfect minority also because of their skin tone.
Yes, this is also true.
That is
There's a certain degree of colorism.
Big factor. Not even a degree, it's a main factor because a lot of foreign just people who come from other countries are inherently hardworking just because they naturally recognize the advantages that are here that most Americans just be like, well, this is normal. And their kids generally, like Jamaicans who come here, usually work really, really hard. Or Haitians, like, so, but I would say that it's them being a lot fairer skin that lends to them being, because it's the same for like white passing Brazilians. They get that same type of treatment.
But the other odd thing is, if you really pay attention to what's going on inside of the upper echelons of most companies, just like you don't see black people there, you don't see that many Asian people there. Like you see one every single while, but you don't see that many Asian people on board of directors. One every single once in a while, but that's really about it. Unless it's a Japanese or Asian held company, which there are a lot of inside of America, because you have like the Sonys, you have the Toshibas, you have Samsungs and things of that nature with large operating fronts here in America. And that's kind of something that's another fundamental thing that black people don't have that we are kind of deprived of, is that we don't have the money that is capable of coming in from an outside entity and basically investing into the American infrastructure and giving us the amount of power that the Asians have as a group. They were allowed to build insulated communities, Chinatowns, Japantowns, in various places to like insulate themselves and be able to still hold on to their culture within themselves. Because whenever black people try to do something like that, it gets blown up or it gets set on fire or bad shit happens to it. So it's just I feel like this is ultimately an entire race of people looking at it and being like, I thought these people actually liked us, but I guess they really don't, because when the rubber hits the road, they have no problem cutting us loose.
Quintessentially.
Yeah. And this is just basically an entire race of people just being like, oh, for real? This is how it's going to be? And this is how it always was. You just didn't know. Now you know. So, sucks to suck, but you already got cut loose. You on the back train cars and the rest of the cars going away. Because we're not blaming black people on the COVID thing. We blaming y'all. So, yeah.
Hey, I remember when people blamed black people for Ebola. So.
All the worst plagues typically come from white people. I'm going to say that normally.
Hey, I just, yeah.
Smallpox.
Yeah.
Black plague.
Yeah. Well, everybody's getting a nigga wake up call, huh? That's what Paul Mooney coined it. The nigga wake up call.
I mean, it was going to happen at some point. I think
Yeah.
every single minority had to figure it out that these people don't actually like them. Like the only thing that's not ever really gonna, the only group of people that I can say that white people are probably always going to be, are always going to have in the pocket is the hyper conservative Cubans. Because they are so anti-socialism because of everything that happened with Castro and them getting kicked out of the country to the
I
point
get
where
that.
is that they are never gonna cross that line.
I get that. You know, they'll go. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But
This is a random conversation
oh,
from censorship.
I mean, we were talking about stop Asian hate, so you know, we just segued away.
segue happened.
Good for
we
us.
forgot to segue into it's when we were talking about music into DMX and giving our condolences.
Oh yeah, we definitely got to give our condolences to DMX.
That's an entirely sad story. I had to go look back up about because there was I couldn't remember what DMX actually went to jail for, and I guess he was literally just in and out of jail on drug and dog stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I gotta light a white candle for him, you know.
Because originally there was some allegations that he raped somebody back in the day. I'm like, I don't know if those are true.
Nope.
I don't remember.
It's like,
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
I heard that on one of the charges that one of the reasons why I went to jail is just like, no, it was really just drug charges. Because the weird thing is, as much as you hear about as wild as DMX portrays to be, he actually didn't really get, like, as a kid and like any kid in the hood, he got into some trouble with the cops.
He wasn't.
But once he removed himself in that situation, outside of drugs, he was for the most part fine.
He was a womanizing drug addict, but nothing like.
He's no more deplorable than any other music artist.
It was just sad listening to how he got addicted to drugs, and
yeah,
these adults, we're supposed mentors, adults, just be careful who you follow.
It was just
and it was purely out of jealousy, I suspect. That's why he gave him crack, laced it in his damn weed.
I mean, when did DMX start hitting when he was 17?
No, he was 14 years old. His mentor gave him.
I didn't know it was 14.
Yeah, he was 14 when he got it.
He was 14.
Because I don't know when DMX really actually hit in terms of things. But
so
I guess he was about 25 or so when Rough Riders and all that other stuff came out.
Let me check.
Whoa. No.
It just goes back to that video Azalea Banks put up, And you could say what you want, but she talked about the music industry and how, these record labels don't step in and
their job is not the best.
Health coverage, but they're fine giving you pills. They're fine giving you drugs because you can stay up all night, rap all night. You can do the work all night, but as soon as something happens,
they cut you loose.
And then you're more valuable dead than alive. So it's just like nowadays you are. And it's just sad. It
happens every single time for the most part. Right, if you're not an independent artist, all his music top right back up there on the place.
She was saying some real shit. Like, everybody thinks Azalea's crazy, but she's like, I got the residuals off my first album just this year. She's like, people kept telling me to get help. She's like, I couldn't afford to get help at that time. And a thing is that people don't like to discuss these things, but she was talking about something real serious. She wasn't bashing other artists. She wasn't doing any of that shit. But I felt it. And, when are we going to hold these labels accountable also? Because they'll shove pills in your face, be like, here you go.
Oh, probably never, because there's only like 2 now. It's like, who are you going to if how you gonna hold the nuts and bolts of the machine accountable?
Yeah.
You can't take them out. Like, there's a lot more independent artists and stuff like that now. And now that SoundCloud and Spotify and things like that, like the nuts and bolts have kind of moved around, but now Spotify and Pandora and all this other stuff have gotten so big that they can't be moved.
But also be careful of the company y'all keep around you. Not everybody has good intentions for you. So, Sorry.
Oh, that's real sad.
Yeah, it's just it is sad. I was hurt when I heard that.
I don't know.
He was one of the good ones. He had his faults, but he was
Better than some, worse than others.
better than a lot of
I feel like a lot of his faults stem from him being hooked on drugs, which inherently wasn't his fault.
his childhood, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know what his actual childhood was like.
He was beaten to the point that the teeth were knocked out of his mouth.
It was his mom, wasn't it?
Yeah, his mom was very abusive, and she used to let her boyfriends beat him. So he ran away from home and then went to juvie and then got out and met this guy and then got hooked on crack.
That is.
Yep. All the adults in his life failed him.
Yeah.
At every stage. So yeah, no, the story of DMX is a very sad story. So that's why I was like, when he passed away. And he's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, I was hoping.
Oh no, I didn't realize My Flesh, My Blood, and like his first two albums both came out in the same year.
And let's not.
Oh yeah, dude, he dropped 2 albums that went platinum or double platinum in the same year.
Yeah,
and let's not forget, DMX was talking down about the industry for a minute. Before it became.
Well, it's like I think someone had a reasonable thing because a lot of people don't like DMX because he sounds aggressive. And it's just like, well, why? Like a lot of white dudes sound aggressive. Why is he not allowed to sound aggressive?
Yeah.
Well,
because he's scary. He's a scary black man.
It's like, you let these dudes from Alice in Chains talk. You literally have a band called Infinite Annihilators. You don't take them hyper literally. They're talking about killing infants.
Wow.
Actual infants. Well, you can't take it seriously.
But I like D because he wasn't afraid to, call out the industry and call out a lot of shit that was now people are just discovering. It's just like, like I was talking about earlier, like people, no matter who, I'm not going to name drop whatever, but it's a very demonic industry.
Oh, no, I mean, the record label's been fucked up since it's been a thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just now people.
That's the
really
reason why I don't give a lot of people.
I don't think that it's just the record industry. I just think
things are fucked up all over.
I would say the entertainment industry as a whole is been a place. Yeah, because like there's Harvey Weinstein, there's lots of people across the board that have just done like.
All these people.
I was talking about music because we were on that topic.
Oh yeah, no, but I was just saying like ad nauseum, it's like entertainment. I don't even know if it's entertainment necessarily. That is
corporate America's pretty fucked up. Politics is fucked up. Everything.
Yeah, I would say that it's any place that you can find
any place
with
a
high amount of power.
It just seems to me that all these entertainers want to be political activists, and all these entertainers now want to be morally right and woke, and I'm just like, this is why I got heated earlier, because it's kind of like, well,
you got to grow though.
Yeah, people grow, but when they
never publicly acknowledge it.
Show you who they are, and they never publicly acknowledge. Yeah, Charles, they never publicly acknowledge who they were.
I've done the fucked up things. This is what I did.
Like Mike Tyson has fully publicly acknowledged who he was back then.
But Mike Tyson also did the work that is required to do that. What you're discounting is just because I've made strides in growth and recognize that I want to be better and do better things on, let's say, for my people or just in general. That doesn't mean that I've also done the work to look at myself in the mirror and reconcile that. That takes therapy and actual. But that doesn't mean that I've done that. So I might.
But he's done that.
No, Mike Tyson has. Mike Tyson has done all the work. But I'm saying that other people who may want to like come and be politically activated and things like that, they may not have done the work that is necessary to like grow as a person.
like T.I. and Tiny. I've been not like T.I. I just like okay, whatever.
Oh,
But it's just like.
I've never taken T.I. seriously.
But it was like one of those things where everybody wants to be woke. Everybody wants to be an activist. Everybody wants to be, you know, because right now, music ain't popping, so let me go become an activist. Let me be the black voice of such and such. I'm like, where the fuck did you come from?
I mean, while I can say, yeah, that's annoying, but it's also going to take people like that to force other people to kind of acknowledge that they want to do this.
It shouldn't be like that, though.
Oh.
Well, I think it should. What you realistically want is more people to take the Mike Tyson route, though. You want more people to take full accountability.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're, here's the thing. Yeah, I'm saying.
I mean, if you're gonna go full cycle, because keep in mind, Diddy and Mike Tyson are about the same age.
But my thing is, not everybody is going to one.
There's nothing that forced Diddy. There's nothing that's ever going to force Diddy to actually look at.
Then I don't need you preaching to me.
Not even force him to do that. Let's not say that.
We're not even
because
using
Diddy. We don't have to look at like preaching at you, because I think that's another thing that people take it too personally, I guess. Some people aren't going to do the work to become self-aware and able to reconcile, like, hey, I was the cause of a lot of these situations in the past, and not lay the blame on them. And because I could see in a realm where I'd be like, you know what? I fucked a whole lot of people back there and got to this position financially. And then at this position, I'm just chilling, living life. And I recognize, damn, what's happening to them is real fucked up. I want to do something about that. I not once had to reconcile what I've done to other people. I've just decided that this cause right now speaks to me, and I want to do something about that. Mm-hmm. So I didn't do the work that Mike Tyson did to reconcile who he was as a person. But Mike Tyson went through a lot of trauma that most of these people aren't going through. Mike Tyson went to prison. Mm-hmm. Mike Tyson lost all of his matches. He lost everything that he was. Yeah. So he had to start from rock bottom and become himself and learn, all right, who am I as a person?
Because I don't think Mike Tyson drinks anymore. I don't think.
He smokes weed.
I know he smokes weed.
He smokes weed.
That's. I mean, all right. I'm gonna actually tell most people a thing that most people don't actually know. Mm-hmm. Drinking is probably worse for you than smoking weed.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, he smokes weed. Yeah.
I just don't think most people.
But he also got punched in the head for a living, so I'll give him a pass.
Go through that trauma. I don't know if y'all watched the Boosie interview with Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah.
I've been meaning to, because I'm just getting new to his show.
So the way that he spoke to Boosie is not a way that most people would speak to someone like Boosie. He was like, he came to Boosie like, oh, so why you so worried about what the homosexuals doing? You gay, nigga? And he was like coming at Boosie just but calling him to task for all this the crazy shit that he's been doing. But and Boosie took it. But I guarantee if it wasn't Mike Tyson on the other end, it was someone that you respected less, because let's keep it a bean. All those niggas grew up on Mike Tyson, grew up watching this nigga knock niggas' heads off.
You grew up loving this
nigga, idolizing this nigga. So now your idol is sitting in front of you and chastising. You gonna take that. Mm-hmm. But there's not a lot of people that can sit across from everybody and do that and then receive it. And then there's also not a lot of people that went through the same type of trauma that Mike Tyson did to hit that personal and just inside hit that low for himself, to feel like he needed to hit a new high and feel like he needed to do the work to climb back up. Mm-hmm. Let's say Diddy did fuck. Let's just use Diddy as an example because we spoke about it earlier. Let's say he fucked people over in contracts. That's cool, because he might not have had to do any of the work to reconcile that, to recognize now that, all right, I'm trying to provide this opportunity and this entity for people and do the revolt, and recognize, hey, they're not treating us equitably or giving us any fair shot at the things that we're speaking for or we're looking for. And I'm going to speak about that because that is not something I'm okay with, but still never done the work to reconcile the type of person that he was back there, because all he's looking at is, all right, this is an issue and I'm addressing that, because he's
That's
never
fine.
had the low that would require one
He's
to
never had
self-reflect. And I think that's what a lot of us want them to do,
Do you think?
but you can't
Do you
dictate
think with
people's
Diddy,
personal growth.
With Diddy, with his legacy, right? Because I told you the way that people reacted to him was.
They were upset. You know,
I mean, it's part of its internet dunk culture and the need to actually dunk on somebody and win an argument.
But let's keep it frank.
no, let's say everybody was correct.
Yeah, look, I'm saying though, the devil always comes back to collect. I don't care who you are, and it's kind of like with Diddy. I see, I'm like, your legacy is still there, but more has come out about you where people are now looking at you sideways, like.
Well, my thing is, it's not necessarily more has come out. The Diddy practices for business have always been known. He probably second to Birdman if we're gonna keep it a buck in terms of just like shady business practice in the industry.
But Birdman wasn't like. Do you think Birdman was as much as a staple? He's never tried to be woke.
Well,
it wasn't. It was.
But
never,
my thing is with that is,
he was wrong too.
People can call Diddy to task for all the shit that he did in the past.
But at least he's trying to do some amount of good.
But not
Birdman never.
But
really
not even
tried to
that.
do anything.
But for
Not
what?
even-
For
but
why? So
it's
you can
not-
get more clicks and views.
It's not even
why?
about trying to do more good, because that ultimately doesn't matter. What y'all are doing is looking at a whole situation in totality
Mhm.
and telling Diddy, hey, you got to look at this whole situation in totality. Let me finish.
All right.
If somebody tell you, hey, I see what you're working on right now,
Mhm.
but fuck that. You got to come back and deal with this shit in the past. You got to go back to the warehouse. You still got some shit to do in there.
Wait
Is-
a minute, no.
Is that
If
gonna?
I'm out here preaching something and it correlates to something that I did in the past, like steal somebody's fucking masters or not pay them or some shit like that, yes, I should be held to task.
I'm not saying that
Because-
you should be held to task. What I'm saying is, no, they're perfectly capable of holding you to task. Are you as a person going to really be focused on going back there to deal with that right now? Or is your focus on this
No, but
immediate
that
thing?
is-
But no.
That's apples and oranges.
No, it's not.
hun.
No, what I'm
It
saying is, it's not. All right, so
All right,
What I'm
quintessentially, what he's
saying-
saying is you got this drama back in your past, but you're
Right.
dealing with something in the present.
Right.
No one's necessarily gonna like. So that means you're dealing with this thing in the present. No one's gonna stop what they're dealing with now to deal with what they did back then. They're gonna finish what they're doing with now,
especially
and then go
if
back
what
in and
is back then isn't really a priority or a pressing matter that's affecting anything of right now except for how people feel. What I'm doing right now is actually going to affect real things, tangible things.
Okay.
What you're upset about is the way you feel about something. So yes, that's not invalid or unimportant, but to tell somebody, hey, we know what you're focused on right now, but what you need to focus on is this, is never going to happen. You can't dictate.
But isn't Diddy still active in the music business? So we can't sit up here and say
Slightly.
Yeah.
oh, he is.
well, no, it's like
So-
not in the same way that he was.
He's more of in the entertainment sphere because like he's doing like
He's doing
But-
he has a
producing
team.
more shows and shit like
I
that.
get that, but still, he's in the entertainment business still. So I can't really compare that to Diddy's situation. And I'm using Diddy as an example.
But
He's
that-
not the
but
only
that's-
person. It's just like,
All right, so let's say me. I'm currently working on building a network.
okay.
If people come and say, hey, you treated us unfairly and certain things that you had us do that you now have full ownership of because of us working together. Like I have a lot of like assets for like games that I'm going to put out pretty soon.
Okay.
And so let's say artists and things like that have worked for me come back and be like, I feel like I'm owed something.
Okay.
I'm not worried about what you feel like. What I'm worried about is doing what I'm doing right now.
And they can come with a lawsuit if they want to.
True. Like they could come for Diddy with a lawsuit.
They have.
And
But the problem, Diddy actually has contracts set up, so that means they're never going to win those.
yeah,
lawsuits.
and so
Yeah,
do I. And so
unfortunately.
so do I. And so they're gonna lose. And so until we can sit down and I feel it's time for us to sit down, that's when we'll sit down. Not when you dictate it's time, because right now I'm doing what I'm focused on right now.
I understand what you're focusing on, but what you're focusing on is correlating into a bigger matter. I understand that, but you're part of that. So with the whole Diddy conversation, I'm not my mindset on him is not going to change.
Oh no, it's not about changing, because that's why it's not about Diddy.
And I'm glad that people called him out.
But it's
and
for
I'm
me.
glad that happened, because just because white people abuse us doesn't mean we should abuse each other amongst ourselves.
It's not about
and it's
that.
Just like,
it's also y'all take so little account for learned behavior.
We get that. But
okay,
he's still doing it. It's just like, okay,
well, I won't say Diddy is
still doing it. That is not a fact. You can't point to current people that he's doing that to.
He hasn't outside of MGK. I don't think he has like a modern artist.
So what you can say is Diddy did that in his past. So we can speak to
how far back do we need to go to make it like how close does it need to be relevant? Because Danny Kane was in my high school.
Do anything to them. They broke up because they fell out.
But there was money issues when it came to their contracts and everything else. They talked about this. So how far? See, Diddy was how old then?
I got a question.
In his 40s or 30s?
I had a question.
So
Danny came together on a show, right?
Yeah.
Oh, making a band?
Because Diddy created them. So if I literally created a show and create you, I own this. I made you. You guys weren't a fucking group.
But pay me. I'm still out here performing.
No, you're mad because of what you're getting paid.
Why should I? So
I get more.
I'm out here performing.
I get more of it.
No, you're standing up for somebody that has basically stolen artistry as
well. Let me say this.
People's,
it's in the making the brand situation, it's a weird thing because when making the band, he made the show. I do believe he paid the songwriters. Like I think he paid $360 for pretty much every. It's a Motown gig.
Yes,
okay,
it's part of the reason why I kind of don't like Motown as it is.
Yeah,
because like as a black business, it's great, but for what they actually did for people, it's not super great. Like if you look at like where the Temptations and stuff, like none of them own any of that music,
which is sad. And
none of it. So I mean, I don't view Diddy any different than the way I view the owner of Motown.
True, but Berry Gordy, I'm saying is
Berry Gordy. I don't know why.
But Berry Gordy's not up here being an activist.
Learned
from Berry Gordy, basically.
and learned from the system.
Yes.
And so if Diddy does that, then does create the show and says I own everything because I created everything, and then moves forward and says, "All right,
you're pretty much
my last person I'm going to sign that's really just going to be a no-name surprise." It's going to be MGK, and I'm not really super invested in this music shit. You a white boy, so if you hit, you hit. If you don't, I'm going to let you do your thing.
I understand.
That's not a fucked up contract. That's just me not being super invested as a record label. That's par for the course.
Behavior in your 20s.
But what I'm saying is,
I understand learned behavior in your teenage years. I kind of understand in your early 30s. But once you hit that peak and you just continue to do shit,
I had a question.
It's kind of like whatever.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you have any aunts or uncles?
Yeah.
This isn't doing the same shit.
Have the same philosophies and views that they've had forever that haven't really changed their perspective? Because I can say my grandmother is like that.
My aunt?
Or older grandparents, or just any older people that you know.
My grandmother stayed the same. She's still the same vindictive person. I mean, she's older now, so she's got memory loss, so I'm not really around her. My aunt was a little wild in her 20s. But she hasn't changed her eating habits. She changed a little bit, but as far as growth, it just comes with age.
No, what comes with age is
perspective.
Not even perspective, but knowing a certain amount of normalcy is inserted into life. I'm going to pay these things. I'm going to do these things. Act in this certain way is going to net this result, so I'm not going to behave that way. But that's not necessarily growth or a change in like your perspective or the things that you believe.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, if you know people in your day-to-day life that have grown, lived their entire life and been pretty much the same person, it takes actual work. For you, you've done the work to say, all right, I want to have self-perspective and be able to judge and say, hey, maybe I'm the person that's the issue in this situation, or maybe certain things that I've done have caused me to be in this place.
Of course.
But you say, of course, like that's what everybody does, and that's how Charles speaks, and that is wrong.
Okay.
Most people don't have that level of self-awareness, and they never attain it.
Well, that sounds like a personal issue.
No, it's not a personal issue, really.
But to me, like this conversation, I get it, but we're talking about a man in his 50s. And who is he? 50 or is he?
I don't know
40s?
how old Diddy actually is.
That. Hold on, let me look up his age.
I'm looking at it.
Okay.
I'm looking it up right now, but he's 51 years
But
old.
regardless of age, it doesn't.
No.
I mean,
change your. You know people that are older than him whose perspectives haven't changed. My grandmother is in her 80s, and the same shit that she believed when she was 40. It's the same shit that she's preaching.
Learned behaviors are actually something that is harder to get out of the older that you are.
You don't just stop. And so he was entrenched
but
in
he knows this is wrong. But I get what you're saying. But he knows this was wrong. But he doesn't change his actions.
I don't really
But he
know
is
if
he has changed his actions.
I don't know. That's the thing. I can't say that he ever actually said 360 deals are bad.
So my thing
he's never vocalized that.
What
Kanye
I would say he
vocalized
changed his behavior. The people that are on the Revolt Network seem very happy. They seem like they're getting paid. They don't seem to have like a bad relationship with Diddy at present. They don't seem to speak ill of him in a financial. No, because I'll say this. Charlemagne did a lot of knocking on Diddy, talking about, oh, they're not paying, they're not doing this. He did that for a while and saying, oh, they're giving a little bit of money. And then Diddy stepped his shit up. And Charlemagne acknowledged, all right, he's making a change and actually prioritizing this. So I'm not saying that he was never doing the things that you say he was doing. I'm just saying that self-reflection takes a lot of work. It takes people to actually
confront you with your issues.
It takes you to have to confront yourself with your issues. And most people don't do that.
I get it.
Like, I didn't confront myself with anything until I was 25. But that's because then I put myself inside of a situation where I was just by myself and not speaking to anybody. By the time this nigga Diddy was 21, he was already working with Andre Harrell and signing artists and on his way to finding Biggie. Generally, the faster pace your life goes, the less time that you're really going to spend on self-reflection, because
especially when you're being successful,
either who you are is working.
Yes, I get that.
So I'm saying and most people don't have that level of self-reflection that is required to be like, hey, I've done all of these things like Mike Tyson does. They're just going to say, hey, I want to fix this.
I get what you're saying, and you have your opinion and I have mine, and I'm just I that's just the way I feel. I get what you're saying and I respect it, but don't care for him.
Oh no, I don't think that you have to like Diddy.
I
don't think that any of this is about liking him.
And this goes into just artists being fake activists in general.
I guess
my entire thing about like big names being activists is, if that is not necessarily about them, it's about their following, and if their entire following becomes activists because they become activists,
exactly,
then that's fine. I don't particularly much care, because if everybody starts putting their fingers in the soup and starts caring about this stuff because Diddy just randomly decided to start caring about it, then
that's a good thing.
Ultimately, you're doing more good than you are bad inside of this situation, no matter how fake you may seem or you may really be.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll
see.
I truly believe Diddy is a business person, and like his critique, but there has been massive critiques about the amount of money that they people putting, like companies put into African American ventures in general. Like it's just an overall critique that it's going to be harder for anyone inside this room to get money than it would be if this was a room for room full of white people with the exact same ideas and the exact same means. So
it's just like these companies who scream out Black Lives Matter that won't hire black people.
yeah,
It's all fake to me. It's just like, okay, well,
it's the right thing to say at the moment.
That's why I said, like, we'll see. Like I
like with the police reform, inside of some places it actually took hold. Like Minnesota, the police reform is there. New York is reforming their police for the most part. They've made qualified immunity more strict. They generally, like, the police have more restrictions now.
Did y'all see when it comes segue into like Black Lives Matter, did y'all see Tamir Rice's mom?
I think we talked about that.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
Y'all did? What was y'all? Oh, y'all have to go into it.
Our overall opinion was, if she's tired of seeing her child's face on these things, and she should just be allowed to get past this.
Yeah, so don't use it if she doesn't want you to.
It's not even just that, people are using these not just her sons.
Oh no, that's why I said it got messy.
Any of them.
That our overall point is, if the families feel away, then you should respect their wishes.
Yeah.
But it also seemed like some of it was about like the money aspect of it, and I would rather not comment on whether they should get paid or not get paid, because that's none of my business.
I know for a fact they are looking into their money.
It's like, you're making money off of their son's likeness.
Well, not even that. Just they made about $9 million or $11 million last year
in donations and stuff like that. And then
I'm not gonna say too much because I just want the shit to break.
I don't think anything's ever gonna break, because this is how nonprofits have been run for God knows how long.
But
this is all par for the course.
It's just
Red Cross ran the same way.
I understand, I just because it hit so closely,
Yeah, it's for black people, but
you using black bodies for profit, basically.
Oh God, like the breast cancer foundation thing, they use breast cancer for profit.
And I've been called those people out, but I just
Susan
I don't
B.
donate to them at all. Like, but I just
there are more effective places to send. Anyway, I mean, technically the NFL was a nonprofit for a while.
Yeah.
So it's like, the only reason why they're not is because they don't like people looking into their books. It's like, it's completely and totally transparent what they're doing and what they're paying people.
Hell, Mother Teresa was stealing money. So
I don't care about people stealing money from the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is fucking loaded.
She was stealing. She was stealing the Catholic Church was stealing donations, and then she had ties to like dictators. That's where it comes muggy. Like, and everybody considers her a saint. I'm just like,
I don't think she's considered to be a saint, because I don't think you can be a female saint. It's a weird thing inside.
No, it's online. Like, she got her Nobel Peace Prize or what the fuck it is.
Nobel Peace Prize don't mean nothing.
It doesn't.
Barack Obama has some Nobel Peace Prize.
But I'm saying people label her. I'm saying people label her as a saint.
Yeah, because of philanthropy and all that other stuff.
Yeah, whatever.
It's like,
it's kind of like, no, she wasn't. She was basically colonizing people and basically stealing money, and then
it wasn't basically. She was.
Yeah, give it to dictators, and the way that they would do, like, perform medical procedures, they wouldn't clean their stuff, and it was just a bunch of shit. But anyway.
But yeah. Well,
I don't have anything else.
There goes your other tangent.
Yeah. This has been a conscious reconstruction episode. Y'all heard Trina on the mic.
Hey.
That's a boy Charles.
I'm here. I was here
He's
again.
Come after me.
We're out of here. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that motherfucking follow button.
Yep. Later.